Good morning and welcome to Charts Today. My name is David Linton, and today's edition for Tuesday, the 3rd of March, comes to you from London. And we're looking here at the crude oil chart. This is the daily chart. We're just holding around this 80. We're just below 80 at the moment this morning. It's just coming up. It's just 7 a.m. in London. So we're seeing here that jump in prices yesterday holding whilst the Straits of Hormuz is closed, then that is probably just going to sit at that level. So really quite significant. And we do look at the energy mix in detail for clients, and I'll be analysing the energy mix shortly for them, but for the energy clients, but also looking at LNG. Now, this is Japan Korea marker, and this is updated daily, and we're seeing that jump to 1336 on the marker. So that that was hovering at one point around 1050. So it's gone up some 30% on LNG yesterday as well. We don't have pricing in yet for European gas and power and carbon, but we're seeing that was yesterday's move. And ironically, we did have a very big upside target given on February the 18th. That was met. Interestingly, we've got a downside target, so maybe this reaction will be overdone. The real key will be watching the 1-minute charts, and many of our clients will do that. And in fact, I'm with a very big French utility today, going through gas markets with them. So that's why I'm recording this early. So coming back to what's going on in normal markets, we're looking at the dollar being stronger. And that's really quite key. We're seeing here that recovery and strength. And if we look at the 60-minute chart, you can see that's bullish above the cloud, moving stronger. No clear targets, but dollar strength means that we are seeing euro weakness. Most other currencies against the dollar weak. The Swiss franc, we saw quite interesting intervention yesterday, where it was just really sinking lower and lower, and then bang with that recovery there. So remembering this is Swiss strength, and so that was just an interesting aspect of yesterday. And looking at sterling, we're seeing that sitting at lower as well, 133.50. And so, and even against the Aussie dollar, sterling has been falling. So interesting today is the spring budget. Rachel from accounts will certainly have her work cut out with what's going on in the Middle East. And if we look at just bond markets, we are seeing still the good news for the UK generally is that the 10-year gilt has been sinking lower, meaning borrowing costs are at a historical low. It's about the only good news really for UK, but also of course UK markets rising. So in terms of stocks, looking at the Nasdaq, we are down again this morning on the future. Waiting to see if we activate this downside target, but remembering that we made the high in October, that is now getting on for 5 months since we've seen a high in the market. And interestingly, last year we saw that fall in around now that we were falling, whether there's a seasonal effect or not. But the interesting thing is, will we activate this downside target? Stocks have been incredibly resilient with everything that's going on. We're seeing the DAX future down 1.25%. Japan was pretty badly hit, down 3%. Looking at the short-term chart, we've activated a downside target there, so that's quite key. And looking at China, that held up relatively well. Hang Seng was down quite sharply yesterday. And looking at China, that is now not activating that upside target. And the Aussie market, which really did not take any falls yesterday, has fallen back down 1.3%. So even it has succumbed to everything that's going on in the Middle East. So that's really quite key. Cocoa, that has really fallen away, and that's been really key. Downside targets, and if you look at the long-term chart of cocoa, really quite incredible. This amazing rise, and then downside target given and met. So you really can't ignore the price targets on any chart. Looking at gold, that's sitting lower this morning, down a third of a percent. And if we look, we just nudged that new high. We did activate a new upside target. That's the 5,820. So that would be a new high. But interestingly, we've got a new target the other way. If you're trading gold, you want to be looking at the 1 minute chart. And silver, that has fallen away and actually just moved below the clouds. So that was the run in silver. We tend to discount the targets when we see the trend change. Do watch. There's lots of resources on the Updater website that you can watch, and I do watch those resources. There's loads of free resources there, including how the targets work. So do watch that. And if you're watching this on chartstoday.com, please do like or subscribe. You could chartstoday.com means that you'll get it in your email. But if you hit the YouTube link at the bottom of Charts Today, please do like and subscribe on YouTube. It does all help, and I do value the likes and the comments that I see each day. So coming back to precious metals, we're seeing platinum down 4%, really quite big moves there. US bond yields, slight reaction, they're slightly up, but actually they, like other bond markets, they have been relatively subdued, even though we've got long-term upside targets there. Now, taking a look at the tech majors, Nvidia recovered yesterday, up 3%. So that is better news for Nvidia, but we are very much stuck in this 170, 195 range, 170, 200 range now, really. So interestingly, Nvidia made its high in October, has had stellar results, but still not managing to make new highs. So Amazon hit, I just saw this morning, their facilities, two of their facilities in the UAE were hit with bombs. So that's just quite interesting news flow, but they are below the cloud there. So that is also bearish. And Apple have actually, they were not too badly affected by everything that's going on, but the reality is, again, their high was back in November. We've got targets in either direction, but really a lot of sideways moves going on. Now, looking at the Dow 30, the UK markets are not yet open this morning, so I'll focus on the US. Yesterday in the UK, it was very much BAE Systems and oil were up. Airlines were down. First Monday back after everything that's happened on the weekend. No big surprises there. But looking at the Dow, Nvidia was a strong performer, up nearly 3%. Interestingly, quite a few stocks were hit, and some of the good performers seeing retracements. So that's really quite key, and that was a factor. And even just banks, just globally, finance stocks were hit yesterday. This is JP Morgan. Interesting that they've got two downside targets there. Remembering, two downside targets is two selling thrusts. That's what we call a cluster. Walmart, which has been an amazing performer lately, they were down yesterday, but still well and truly above the cloud there. You remember, you can always go to the 60-minute chart to get a little bit of a heads up what's going on there, and it's a mixed picture there. And Amex have been badly hit too. Just finance stocks really feeling the pinch there, so that's quite key. And looking at the Nasdaq, the best performers was Strategy Inc., which is just slightly recovering on Bitcoin, so that's really quite interesting, but what a terrible looking chart still. And then on the other side of the coin, if we look at the worst performers, we had quite a few here. Monster Beverage down 5%. Marriott Hotels, no big surprises there. We've seen hotel groups were hit yesterday as well. Anyway, that's it for today. The main thing is going to be what happens with that oil price. We will be watching that for our clients. We'll be recording our energy in a mix in a minute, and very much watching the 1 minute charts if you're trading any of these products. Until tomorrow, happy charting. Bye from now.